So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. How do I get amazing battery life on any iPhone? Well, it doesn't matter which iPhone you're using, iPhone SE, iPhone 10, 7, 7 Plus, whatever, it all applies. Let's take a dive into how exactly I do this. So the first thing with getting any iPhone I do is I go into the settings and I go to battery life. And now, since Apple introduced this new battery health beta, I will now check the maximum capacity of my battery, because you can't blame the phone for being bad battery if your capacity is low. That just means the physical battery needs a replacement. By the way, you can get at a discount for $30 until the end of 2018 at any Apple store. Next up, I don't use my iPhone in any temperatures that are below 32 degrees or above 95 degrees, because that's what Apple has claimed will actually degrade the battery performance. And this is pretty true of any lithium-ion technology with any product. Lithium-ion technology just doesn't play well with extreme temperatures. That is just the case in anything. I mean, I personally ride an e-bike, which is an electric bike, and that thing gets worse range when it's colder or extremely hot. So definitely this is a problem if you're in extreme temperatures, so just stay out of those and you'll get great battery life. Next thing, and first and foremost, that I do is I go into settings, I go into general, and then I go into background app refresh, and I make sure that this thing is turned off. Now I have some of it on. I turned some of these features back on just to show you how to disable them and stuff like that in this video, but background app refresh is one of the first things I always do, because I really personally don't like when background app refresh is on. Next thing I do is disable auto brightness. Now, unfortunately, Apple didn't give us an easy way to disable the auto brightness in display settings. So what I have to do is I got to go into general, I go into accessibility, I turn on auto brightness here, off and on here in display accommodation. So I hope this is fixed in iOS 12, but for now, that's how you do it. And that's one of the things I also do to save battery life. Next up, I manage location services. So I go into privacy and I go into location services and I turn off all of the ones that I don't think I'll ever use. Now, you're going to go ahead and see that only a few applications will use these services, but the more applications you do have on your phone, the more there's going to be. So I have that off altogether most of the time, unless I absolutely need to use the GPS for whatever the case may be. Next tip is to use Wi-Fi whenever possible. Most of us know this is a pretty basic battery tip, but I do that and I just had to mention it there. That's how I always get good battery life as well. I try to stay off LTE as much as possible on any iPhone that I do use. Next up, I keep my apps to the minimum, which means that I use the applications I'm going to actually use and download. Don't download more than you need. Now, I do have quite a few, but each and one of these apps I do actually use quite consistently. So just keep the apps that you're going to use and don't have extra apps. It just builds cache in the background, and it's just not a good thing to do, is have extra apps you don't need if you're looking to get better battery life. So next up, I turn off automatic downloads and updates in iTunes App Store location and settings. So go there. When you're in there, you're going to see automatic downloads. Make sure these are checked off, and remember that you do have to update your apps manually if you do this. So once a week, maybe go into the App Store and just hit update all and update your applications, because you're going to be disabling it here. Next thing I do is make sure that I always have a static wallpaper on the iPhone. I never use dynamic wallpapers because they do eat through battery life, just as live wallpapers would do on Android. Next thing I do is I watch that tricky Bluetooth setting in the iOS. So I'm going to go ahead, iOS 11 specifically. When you turn off Bluetooth, it's not really off here from the control center. You actually have to go in to your Bluetooth settings and turn it off manually right there. So that's the next thing I do to get great battery life on any iPhone. The next thing I do is I go into settings and then I go back to display and I make sure that this auto lock time is at a lower 1 minute. Now I'm going to keep it at never here just because we're trying to keep the screen on for this video, but I'll put this at the lowest auto lock time possible so I never forget to leave my phone on when I put it in my pocket, and I get amazing battery life that way. Another hidden one is actually located in privacy. Every iPhone out of the box has motion and fitness tracking turned on in the Apple Health settings. And this thing always is tracking you wherever you're walking for fitness. And if you're not a fitness guru or you're not using the fitness apps at all, this is eating battery life that you probably had no idea was eating. So you just go into your privacy settings, locate motion and fitness, and disable that. Now, the next thing I do is I limit ad tracking. So how do we do this? Let's go back into privacy. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and go to advertising. Now, I left this on to show you how to disable it. Just click that little toggle, and this will save some battery life as well. No more ad tracking here on your iPhone. Next thing I do is I make sure that AirDrop is disabled. AirDrop is very useful and I do recommend using it, but when you're done using it, make sure it's turned off because this can be a serious battery drain if you leave it on all day. Next thing I do is I go into my sound settings and I go ahead and I turn off vibrate on ring and vibrate on silent as well, because vibration is not always necessary. All I need to hear is the sound. I don't need vibration to, eat through my battery life if I'm trying to get through a long day. I also will clear applications that are running in the background pretty frequently to make sure that they're not using any precious battery life in the background. I know a lot of people don't agree with this. They think that, leaving apps open doesn't do anything to battery life. But personally, I've just been doing it for a long time and I've seen tremendous battery results doing that. So that's just my experience on the iPhone. Lastly, if I'm in a pinch, I will use the low battery power mode. This one is right in your face. Everybody knows what this is, low power mode, but just utilize that if you don't want to do a bunch of settings and you want to save battery in a pinch and you don't got time to think about what can I disable right now to get through the rest of this day. Anyway, that's it. That's how I get amazing battery life on any iPhone. I do all of these settings anytime I get any new iPhone, and pretty much all my iPhones get me through most of the day, with an exception of when I'm running betas. When I am running a beta, version of iOS, then I do definitely see a little bit of a drop, but that's because it's in a beta process. Once we get on the official versions, the battery starts picking back up. If you guys found this video helpful, enjoyable, do me a favor, click that like button for me. Share any of your awesome battery tips on how you're getting amazing battery life on your iPhone down below in the comment section of this video. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well. I will catch you all in the next episode, and peace.